Alright guys, welcome back to another video, and in this tutorial what I want to do is I want to start talking to you guys about something called pointers. Now a pointer is a kind of confusing concept whenever you start to learn it, but it's something in C that you need to learn if you want to learn how to build really powerful and really awesome applications. So again, a lot of people get confused at first, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you guys the core basics of it, and then I'm going to be showing you guys why it's useful and eventually showing you guys how to build awesome pieces of software with it. But for now, let's just go ahead and stick with the basics. So the first thing that we need to do is go ahead and create any old variable, make it an int variable, and set it equal to anything you want. I'm going to call my tuna, going to set it equal to 19. So the first thing I'm going to display is I want to show you guys how and where your computer actually stores this variable in its memory. So use printf, and in order to print out a memory address on your computer, it's not exactly a number, so we can't use %d. It's not exactly a string, so we can't use %s. It actually needs a special symbol to let it know, okay, I'm going to be printing out a memory address, and that is %p. And as you guys are going to see later on, that stands for pointer. Now, of course, if we just try to print out tuna, it's going to try to print 19, which isn't the case. We want to see where in our computer's memory this is printed out. So in order to do that, we need to use a special symbol called an ampersand right there. You guys know what it's called. I don't know why I said that. But basically, ampersand and then the name of the variable says print out the memory address of where this tuna variable is on your computer. So let's do that right now. So this tuna variable is stored somewhere in our computer in memory 0028FF1C. Okay, that's I don't know, kind of interesting, Bucky. I mean, computers obviously store variables a little bit different than we think they do, and the reason for this is because if we just try to use that memory address instead of this variable name, I mean, it's kind of hard to work with, it's kind of hard to remember and understand. So what C allows us to do is use this name instead. Okay, cool, but who cares? You know, who cares what happens behind the scenes in our memory? Not important, kind of interesting, but who cares? Let's skip pointers for now. Well, just a second. There are some instances where you need to actually work with the memory address of your computer, and in about 3 tutorials you guys are going to see exactly why, but for now let me display a couple things to you. So what we can do is I'm going to be building a little program in this tutorial that basically shows you guys the address, the name, and the value of a few variables including pointers. So the first thing is we're going to be printing out the memory address just like we saw, and then the name of the variable, which in this case would be tuna, and then the value of it, which would be 19, but it's going to be a little cooler than that. So of course, well, I guess we can let's just keep that line simple. We'll keep this program really easy to understand. So in this print statement down here, we'll do it first for this tuna variable. So of course the first thing we want to print out is %p, and then tab that, and then the name of course is just going to be a string. This is just going to say tuna, so %s, tab, and lastly the value, which is %d, and kick it to a new line. So we'll print out tuna, the address of tuna, which is going to be 00 whatever, tomato tomato, then the name, which is tuna, and then the value. And of course, just like before, whenever we want to print out the value of a variable, just use this name on %d, run it, and check it out. So now we can visualize this a little bit better. So this tuna variable has a value of 19, and to us, we can just use the word tuna because C is pretty cool, and it allows us programmers, us stupid human beings, to use simple names for stuff. But of course, there's not just a random spot in your computer's memory named tuna waiting to be filled with some number. So we made this, but what your computer actually sees is this space right here. That's a space that was waiting, and whenever it actually uses this variable, that is the address that it has to go to. Alright, so that was pretty interesting. So what the heck's a pointer? Well, we know that this right here is a memory address, and what a pointer is a special type of variable that can hold this address. Because look at it, 0028FF1C. Well, we can't just store it in like an int because it has characters in it. We don't really want to store it in a string because it's kind of like a mixed up, has numbers. So we need to make a special type of variable whenever we want to store these addresses, and those variables are called pointers. And I'll show you guys how to do that right now. So in order to make a pointer variable, you type what data you're going to be storing, or we'll store a pointer to this one, which was an int. So put int, and if we just type the name after it, it's going to be a regular integer variable. But we say we want to store the memory address of an integer variable. So if you type the asterisk, it's above the 8 on your keyboard. What this is basically telling C is we're going to be making a special type of variable to hold a memory address called a pointer. Now, the truth is you can name your pointers anything you want. You can even name it Tuna2, but it's common practice among programmers to begin all pointer names with a lowercase p and then type the variable name that it's pointing to. And that's just so later on you can see, okay, this ptuna is a pointer to tuna, just common sense stuff. So of course this isn't going to be holding the actual integer, it's going to be holding the memory address. Now we already know how to access the memory address with an ampersand and then the name of the variable. So now what we can do is we can use this ptuna interchangeably whenever we would have used this, and I'll show you guys that right now. So let's print something else out right now, and we'll just change this one right here. I guess I'll type it out. ptuna. So what this line prints out and what this line prints out is essentially the same exact thing. So we can now use this variable ptuna instead of accessing the memory of this directly. And I know you guys are saying, okay, that still doesn't explain why I would ever need a pointer, and for right now we kind of just need to understand the basics before we learn about things like how arrays are kind of pointers and the heap and all that crap and how to make cool expandable applications. But for right now, as long as you understand this, you'll be good to go. So the one other thing that I want to do, just so this sticks in your brain, is this. So let me actually print out the memory address of this pointer variable, and then I'll put ptuna and ptuna and change this to a p right there. Now if you run this, check it out. So of course this is the information for tuna. These top two lines, they're redundant. This is where tuna is stored on your computer. So is this, and the value of tuna is 19. But this last line right down here, this third one, it prints out the information for the pointer of tuna. Now, as you can see, the value isn't 19. The value of ptuna is the memory address of tuna. The 0028FF1C is equal to the memory address of tuna. So that's what we said in this line right here. We're going to be making a special type of variable called a pointer, and its value is equal to the memory address of another variable. So actually, let me go ahead and delete this line because it's probably confusing you guys a little bit. So again, if you take one thing away from this tutorial, it's this. You can make a special type of variable called a pointer, and its value is something weird. It's not a number, it's not a character, it's the memory address of another variable, in this case tuna. So in order to get the value of it, it says, okay, go to tuna, find out what its memory address is, and store it in this new pointer variable. And of course, since this is a new variable, it has its own memory address somewhere on your computer. So the last thing I want to point out is that I know you guys don't understand why the heck we would even need these pointers yet, because right now we're just learning what they are. But in the next tutorial, I want to teach you one more concept, and then after that we're actually going to be using them in an application, and you guys are going to see why they are incredibly cool. But for now, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.